Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Facing the Music with Terry Oldfield. My name is John Valdivia, producer at idesound.com. This series, curated from candid conversations, will introduce a return to the mystery and wonder of existence, as well as our necessity to confront ourselves. We shall also feature selected pieces from Terry's extensive musical anthology. In this episode, Terry talks about the transformation from reactive to intelligent action, exploring how understanding is not a matter of intellect, but grace. Welcome to Facing the Music.
Understanding has to happen on a level where it just flicks the switch. And then the understanding becomes action. The understanding is now part of the background automation as well. It's just wiping out a whole area of distraction from being. The mind understands it, takes it in on board, and no longer starts to react. And it just doesn't react anymore to that whole area because it's understood. It's not spiritual understanding, it's just the kind of understanding that wipes the area clean and clear of problems. It's like that time I read the Krishnamurti book and I suddenly found myself in a space where I didn't know how I got there. Because something happened, the mind clicked with it and switched off that whole area of the usual way of seeing the world. And again, going back to Castaneda, stopping the world. Stopping the inner dialogue, because until that looking for problems as an inner dialogue stops, it's just increasing the space, giving more space to life than living. If you can maintain contact with this space, which you are, I am that space which contains everything. Everything that's happening in my space, in this space, is not me, and therefore I can look at it dispassionately and use knowledge in a very efficient way, calmly, clearly, concisely. I'm willing to change direction much more readily than I would have been if I was identified in the whole thing of failure and success and all that. When they come up to me and say, sorry, you can't get on the plane. Fine, okay, I need to find a cheap hotel for the night. You go out and you're okay, you can travel tomorrow, no problem, we'll give it another go tomorrow. But the mind normally comes in and says, but what if I don't get on tomorrow? It goes back to John Lennon's famous quote, life is what happens when you're making other plans. It's the death of the separate self that creates the problem, because there's no room for the separate self apart from in the worry, the problem solving, and the whole, oh God, the worry, I can't sleep, all that sort of stuff is what creates the suffering. But if we're willing to completely be with what is And we're not going to die. I mean, I don't think I would die if I have to go on a plane tomorrow. It's not as dangerous as we thought it was. So you're moving everything to a safety level by detaching identity from the whole realm of thinking. And that only happens automatically through understanding. You cannot do it through reading a book and trying to get more understanding. I've got to have more understanding, more courses. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. You don't get the understanding that way. The understanding comes through grace, I would say. You have to be inquiring, like Ramana says, just keep asking, Some people need to ask for longer than others. When the mind is satisfied, it will let go and do its job. It's a minefield until you realize that you can't awaken. There's nobody here to awaken. It's always been this. You just literally refocus on the space that contains everything. You refocus. You just take a step back and contain the body. You contain everything. To maintain that is, you don't have to sit on a cushion. You do it in everyday life. Ramana Maharshi said, that setting aside a time for meditation is for the merest beginners in this inquiry. If you don't take it into your life, it's like coming out of the lab onto the street. Well, every moment is the opportunity to get a bit of grace come in. But only if we're open to that grace coming in. There's a crack in everything where the light gets in. This is Nigel Richmond, who I write about in the book. What he writes is, identity in this mode does not abstract ideas from its experience, so it has no structure of idea to confront the experience. We go from one thing to another as it happens, participating in primary manifestation. Living like that is living in a way that is totally alien. There's no place for separation. So the separate self, the ego, is dead in the present moment. What I mean by the present moment is not a fixed thing, There's no now and now and now and now and now and now and now. There's just infinite. You cannot define it. You can't really talk about it. There's one thing that we all share, and that's I am. As soon as you add anything to I am, you are creating separation.
Thank you for listening to Facing the Music. We want to extend our gratitude for your company today. For enriching context and further insight into our series, do visit ithesound.com/Terry. We have provided all the pertinent information in the description. For those interested in delving deeper into Terry's compelling journey, his biography, Only Now, is readily available on all major online bookstores. It is an intimate and insightful account of a life dedicated to music and spiritual awakening. Lastly, please visit terryoldfield.com to stay up to date with Terry's latest endeavors. Once again, thank you for your time. This is John Valdivia from ithesound.com.